Hi there everyone, this is Vishwanath Chetan and I shall be continuing with staffing where I last left off, and I explained to you why staffing was so very important in the context of management. We had done various functions of management. We did planning, we did organizing. Now we've come to staffing, and staffing, as I told you, is of course a very important function of management. It deals with everything to do with your human resources. Okay, so the right kind of people will take your organization from the bottom to the top, while the wrong ones will bring it down that easily. So it requires a quality staff to be there in an organization, and if you have got quality staff who are willing to put their 100% into work and willing to do things whenever necessary the organization wants, that organization will come to the top. Okay, so today let's start off with staffing as a part of human resource management. As I told you earlier, that human resource department is a very important department in the organization nowadays, because they take almost all the important function as to how do you recruit the people, how do you select the people, how do you fix the remuneration, all these things, and even the training and the development. All these things are fixed by the human resource department. Okay, so basically we are bothered that the right type of people come for the right jobs, and if you get the right people for the right jobs, your organization is going to surge ahead. Okay, what does human resource management refer to? It refers to procuring, developing and maintaining, and of course appraising the human resources. Okay, all this thing is necessary. When we need more staff, when we need more people to work, it will be taken care by the human resource department. When we have to develop, that means when we have to go through certain training periods, even that is done by the human resource team. And even maintaining and appraising, if they are doing very well, they are supposed to be rewarded, because reward is a very important aspect. And if the employee is rewarded well, he feels he is wanted in the organization. So that feeling of wantedness comes into him. Human resource management is a recruitment, development, utilization, compensation and motivation of human resources of the organization. This is a very interesting definition by French Wendell, who lays emphasis on all these factors about human resource management: recruitment, development, utilization, compensation and motivation. See, all these things are necessary. For an employee to be working, he needs to be motivated properly, and if he is motivated well and he is getting the right kind of compensation, he is going to do well for the organization. Human resource management includes many specialized activities and duties which the human resource personnel must perform. Okay, there are many functions which they need to perform, and they will see to it that they perform all these duties very well. Okay, and what are these duties? Let us just have a brief about these duties. There is recruitment, there is selection, there is placement, and of course orientation of employees. When an employee first enters into the firm, it is necessary that you make him familiar with the surroundings, whom he has to report, where he has to go to do what work, and whom to whenever he is in trouble or whenever he has some queries, whom to approach to. Okay, so recruitment, selection, placement and orientation of employees. Then analyzing jobs and collecting information about jobs to prepare the job description. It's not just tell people come work in the organization, but you need to tell that, see, you will be in the marketing department, you will be in the sales department, you will be in the purchase department, you will be in the technical department. So your work has to be very clear cut. You cannot just invite the person and tell them you do whatever work you want, then it is going to create chaos. So for us to succeed as an organization, we also need to be very clear cut in terms of what work we are supposed to get out of from the employees. Okay, so further, the training and development of employees is very much necessary for efficient performance and career growth. Okay, it is not, it is very imperative now that the employee grows. Okay, he needs to be given whatever is the latest training which is going on, and when he gets this latest training, he is going to inculcate it in the organization. When it's inculcated in the organization will benefit from all these things. So it's necessary that at each stage we give these skills, we impart these skills, and not only that, sometimes the work gets so tedious that they need a getaway, so they have all these programs and sort of fun picnics where certain tasks are told to be performed, and they learn from there also. Okay, so this is training and development. Then also what the human resource department does or the human resource management does is they do performance appraisal. They will find out how each person in the organization has progressed, how he has progressed and what he has achieved, because on the basis of all these things he is going to be rewarded in the near future. Okay, that is performance appraisal for you. Okay, also develop the development incentive plans, all these things have to be carried out. Besides that, the labor relations have to be good. Now the labor relation is basically the people who are working in the factory and the trade union leader. They have to be very good, they have to be amicable, otherwise what will happen? The production can stop, and if it does stop, it is going to be very detrimental to the organization and its progress is going to stop there. Okay, they also look after the social security. Social security basically means things like their provident fund or gratuity, all those things, and any additional benefits which they are supposed to get, the medical benefits, they all are looked after by the human resource team. Then also they look after the legal procedures. The legal procedures is very much necessary because the legal procedures are going to be encountered at each stage. Okay, the evolution, though this is not very important, but let us study also the evolution of human resource management, because first they were known as labor relation officer. Then they went a step ahead, then they were known as a personnel manager because they were looking after the human resources, and now the resource application or the approach is known as human relation approach. Okay, so this is a very important category, important department in the organization, and this organization is looking after the entire human resources of the organization. Okay, so this was human resource for you and its history and how it deals with different things. So now let's come to what is known as a staffing process. The staffing process basically means it starts from right from asking a person to apply for a job, okay, then scrutinizing his CV or biodata, okay, or resume, that is scrutinized, and then whoever is fit for that particular job, they will invite them and they will have interviews. From the interviews they will select whoever is the best. After the selection, they will place those people. So place, and also orientation is a very important aspect. Orientation is when the new employee gets familiarized with the working environment. Okay, so let's slowly discuss what is the staffing process. The number one step whenever we start staffing, it's known as the estimating manpower requirements. So you cannot You cannot simply tell that I require 1,000 people or 10,000 people. No, you should know that these many people are necessary for the job. You should not keep more people also, because then you will be paying more and they will be working less. You should keep the right amount of people. So on this basis, when you are estimating the manpower requirement, there are two theories to it. It's known as a workload analysis, or it's known as a workforce analysis. You can determine on the basis of these two. Okay, so first you estimate, then your recruitment program starts. Of course, the recruitment is much before selection. Okay, so whoever is interested in coming and applying to your organization, you allow them to do so. After seeing a list of various applications, you shortlist them and call them for selection purposes. Those who fit into the criteria. Most important thing is that they should fit into the criteria. If they have the qualification and they have got a good knowledge about the work. Okay. Also, you can also employ freshers also. Okay. After going through a various list of selection, there will be interviews. The candidate will be having group discussions, and they try and as far as possible take it to the proper levels. We saw also in Munna Bhai MBBS when one of the friends had to go for the interview, and how there is a good example where the panel is there and he is questioned about why he wants to work in that organization. Okay. Then after the person is selected, he is going to be placed. That's known as placement and orientation and induction. So here what will happen is that the person will be made familiarized with the entire organization. He will tell where he is supposed to go, whom he is supposed to report, what time is he supposed to come to the unit, or where is he supposed to report on different places in case it is a sort of a traveling job where he has to go to different places. So he'll be told what place to go, what days, and whom to report, and how the work is to be done. Okay. Then in further, when new developments occur, or even if he is an existing person, training and development becomes very essential. Training and development is essential because you want the organization to grow, and it can only grow if your employees grow. If the employees give 100%, then the organization is going to stretch ahead. Okay, so that is training and development for you. Then we have got what is known as performance appraisal. So every year you're supposed to keep track about each of your individual employees, how they are progressing. Okay, and to what extent they are progressing. If they progress as well and they are of good material for the future, that they would become from subordinates to superiors, then you need to reward them well, because these people, if satisfied, they will further give in the best to the organization. Also in regard to promotion and career planning, also happens in the staffing process, and promotion is basically you're given a higher category job, okay, higher category status, and you're given extra emoluments, perquisites, and so on. Fine. And finally, in the staffing process, you have got compensation. Now there are two compensation. One is direct financial payments, and the other is indirect payments. Direct is basically your wages and salary which you get, and even your bonus. While as indirect are things like they give you housing facilities, or they pay your LIC, or they pay your medical, and all those things. Those all are indirect payments. Fine. So this is something which you need to know. And now, from here onwards, I go into the components of elements or aspects of staffing. Now there are three components of staffing. One is recruitment, the next one is selection, and the last one is training. Okay, so let's get to the first aspect again. Of course, we have already done it as a brief when we were doing the steps in the process of staffing. and we got a gist of what it is. So let me just tell you what is recruitment right now. Recruitment is a process of searching the prospective candidate. Prospective candidate means would be, it not is. Prospective candidate and inducing or encouraging or stimulating them to apply for the jobs in the organization. So you're making an invitation that come work in our organization. We are going to offer you this, and it should be a good offer. So people will be inclined and ready to come and work in your organization. The purpose of recruitment is to obtain a sufficiently large number of qualified candidates so that the management can select the most eligible candidate. So they will have a choice. From the choice, they will select the most suitable, the most best candidate for the job, because they want the best for the organization. Okay, they shouldn't compromise on the quality. If the person is good, if he's a quality person, you should not hesitate in offering him a little bit of more remuneration. Recruitment brings together the job giver, that is a employer, and the job seekers, who are the prospective employees or the applicants. Recruitment can be done to and it can be done to see that things can be established from outside or inside. Okay, so you can have things like promotion or transfer, which is done internally, and the others are done externally. Okay, so from here I'll quickly go to the sources of recruitment. The sources of recruitment is from where do we get all these people for working. Okay, we divide the sources into two parts, internal and external. Internal means within the organization. There are two possibilities here, transfer. So a person is working in Mumbai, he's transferred to Delhi. They have another branch there, so they transfer him to Delhi. Okay, basically a transfer doesn't mean that you are going to go at a higher grade. You are at the same grade, and you will be given certain extra benefits, but your pay is not going to rise. But in case of promotion, like you are the deputy manager, now you become the manager. In this case, you are going to get a higher amount of pay, and you are going to get better facilities. You are going to get more perquisites. Okay, then we've got external sources. External sources is when we invite applications from outside. Now there are campus recruitments also. People, good organizations come to good institutions and try and pick up people from there. So campus recruitments are there. There is management consultants and placement agencies where they have a list of database. So it is easier for us to approach them because they have already scrutinized the applications. There's employment exchanges, which of course in India doesn't work all that great, but in other countries they work very well. Then there is direct recruitment, someone coming into your organization, you have an interview, you have various criteria, and then you select that person. Then there is labor contractors. These are people who always have workers ready with them, and it is good if you require something for the factory purposes, because these people have got a number of workers ready with them always. Okay, and there are certain casual callers also who always call and ask, is there any vacancy in your organization? Okay, or you also casually call because you have already got a database of those employees who had applied earlier. Okay, so you in case you are expanding, in case your business is growing, it would be you do not need to put another ad in the newspaper, because all this is a costly process. You put an ad in the newspaper, you get a number of applications, you take all those in, you shortlist, you take the interviews, you have their tests, you have preliminary tests. Okay, so this is going to be a very lengthy process. And also you have got recommendation from existing employees. They also recommend that we know certain people who are good. Okay, so right now let us at least touch upon internal sources. And internal sources we already discussed. There is transfer and promotion. Let us discuss the advantages of internal sources. Number one, it is a motivation to employees to improve their performance, because they know that if they are doing well, then they are going to get promoted automatically. Okay, this is less expensive. Why? Because you don't have to put an ad in the newspaper. You don't have to, go through all those trainings, programs, and preliminary interviews. Everything you observe, and if you fit into that category, you will be chosen. So there is no need of putting any ads, so it's less expensive. Okay, the process also is a very simple process. It is not a complicated process. People from the top management observe your progress, and then they see to it that it is implemented. Okay, it is also a tool of training. Why is it a tool of training? Because the person who is working is in a process of growing. So this is a very good added advantage that he's given a higher post. Okay, and the good part about internal sources is that there is no overstaffing or there is no understaffing. Okay, so these were the advantages or merits of internal sources. Let us quickly also go through the limitations of internal sources. So this is the number one disadvantage or limitation is that it is not suitable for new organizations. Okay, new organization cannot have all those transfers because it's a new organization. Okay, secondly is that if you are employing people from within, you are not encouraging fresh talent. So there is a lack of fresh talent, and there are people who sometimes are more qualified from outside, and you are not taking them. And these people who are working in your organization may be people who are lethargic and they do not show inclination towards work, but they know that after a certain number of years, especially in certain government jobs, they are bound to get the promotion. So they are not much bothered. They know that they will get the promotion irrespective whether their work is good or bad, they are going to get. So there is lack of fresh talent. Also there is lack of competition. Hey guy, why should I be working? I know I'm going to get that job. It is empty. Now next I'm in line to get it. So there is no competition. They know that sometimes they are going to procure the job and they will get the job. So there is lack of competition. Also there is low productivity because the person is not going to put in the best, and this is going to affect the entire organization. Okay. Last but not the least, among the limitation is that there could be conflicts amongst these type of people, and when conflicts do occur. Okay, so I hope you have understood the internal sources properly. From here, I shall stop here, and I'll make a progress next time where I shall touch about the external sources, and then of course see what is the differences between the two. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed watching me give this lecture, in as much as I also enjoyed putting it forward to you. Thank you so much. This is Vishwanath Jatan signing off.